In this episode of the UX Tea Break, I talk about unicorns and T-shaped people. This question comes from Maytal Mitchell Vainstub, who posted a question on YouTube. She asked, I wonder how do you feel about UX unicorns? The expectation you need to know it all is quite concerning when you're looking to get into the field. Coming from a research background, would you argue it's better to start as a generalist unicorn to get one's foot in the door and gain UX experience, or insist on aiming for a user research role regardless? So, to answer this question, I need to give you a bit of detail about my own background. So, when I started out in the field of human factors and usability, it wasn't called UX back in the day, I was pretty much expected to do a bit of everything. So when I needed to test out design ideas, I didn't have a colleague who was a prototyping whiz, so I had to mock something up myself. So I did user research, I did some design, I created prototypes, I ran usability tests, I even wrote code, but frankly, that's not sustainable. I always knew that I was much stronger at user research than at creating prototypes, and that meant the quality in some areas suffered. My prototypes were good enough, but they were never great. Now, these days I focus more on what I'm best at, the research side, but that doesn't mean that my experience designing prototypes and writing code has gone to waste. Even today, I'll mock up a prototype, though it's usually one or two screens in a flow to show a designer what I mean, rather than a complete interface. But, I'm a dinosaur. We're now in a world where user experience has matured. When a field matures, you find people begin to specialise. So nowadays you'll find people describing UX roles as UX design work or UX research work. And I'm sure you've also heard about the emerging fields of design ops and research ops, where we see further specialism. So we have ethnographers, usability moderators, data analysts in user research, and we've got interaction designers, visual designers, content designers, service designers within the field of design. It's a long list. So increasingly, companies in the know, companies who have some UX maturity, they want people that fit these specialised roles. They're less interested in generalists. But I think we're losing something. I don't think it's healthy to have user researchers who can't prototype, or to have designers who can't run usability tests. And there's a very simple reason for this. If you're a researcher who can't design, then every problem is a research problem. You have a research hammer and you're looking for research nails to bang in. And similarly, if you're a designer who can't do research, then every problem is a design problem. You're wielding a design hammer and you're looking for design nails to bang in. The problems we need to solve in user experience don't come pre-packaged as research and design. They're nearly always a bit of both. So I think that every user researcher should be able to do a bit of design, if only so they can test out an idea when the designer's too busy to help. And similarly, every designer should be able to run a usability test to test out their design when the user researcher is otherwise engaged. So my own view is that the best practitioners have a broad understanding of the field. They can do a bit of everything, but they specialise in either research or design. I don't think this makes them unicorns, since their knowledge is a little uneven, but it does mean they can see the big picture and provide emergency support when needed. A bit like a brain surgeon who may spend their days looking at brain scans, but they also know how to carry out CPR when needed. I think of these as T-shaped people because they have a general knowledge of UX, but they have a deeper, specialised knowledge in either research or design. So, returning to your question, Maytal, if you're new to the field of UX, I'd recommend getting as broad an understanding of the field as you can. Do some field visits while learning how to lay out a web page. Create some prototypes while learning how to moderate a usability test. Play around with Figma or some other prototyping tool while also learning Google Analytics. Think of it like a food buffet at a wedding. Try a bit of everything and then fill your plate with what tastes best. I hope you found it useful. If you have a question you'd like me to answer, please write it in the comments below.